Good morning. I don't know if I got anybody watching. Yes, I do. Hey, Tran, how's it going? What's up, buddy? Hope you're enjoying your sweater I got you, or I sent you. So, I don't have a whole lot to talk about today. Been on vacation along with a lot of other people. Hope you all had a good Christmas. Got some cool stuff. I didn't get anything because I didn't want anything. Cool. I'm glad to hear that you're enjoying it. Uh, Hope you're keeping those keys safe too for the future. But I just don't have a whole lot to talk about today, other than the only subject I could come up with would be mining. So let me see. I'm gonna throw a little. Okay, I think there's some music in the background. I can't tell. So you can hear it through my microphone, I guess. But so I was just going to talk a little bit about some mining accidents or mining equipment stuff that we that gets used in the mining industry. Now, keep in mind, I've never worked on a mining project. I've been under mining rules on a project. It was a housing project, but for some reason, the company had the same rules applied for the mining stuff. So there's just a few little, I got a couple little videos here that we can just take a quick look at, some shorts. See if I can get this set up right. So here we have a truck. This is an underground mine where they're hauling off coal. So you can see the coal in the back of the truck and how tight of a hole these guys are driving through. So it's an articulating uke. Surprisingly, this thing fits in here, but you have got to have dead precision when you're driving at something that's almost the exact size of the hole that you're driving around in. But that's one. Got a whole bunch of other ones. So dump trucks, these enormous dump trucks. There are so many blind spots in these dump trucks. They have cameras on the new ones now. The old ones they didn't have cameras in to see around you. So just as an example, so this guy here, he's over on the left side, and typically on most haul roads for these dump trucks, they will not run cab side to cab side like driver to driver on the haul roads. They'll usually drive the driver away from the other machine that's oncoming. Now, this is a safety deal because what happens is if these two trucks run into each other, you now have two people killing each other or possibly getting seriously injured because they're hitting cab to cab. So if you're driving these things opposite of each other, you'll hit the other side that doesn't have anybody in it. Let's see what else we've got, because I just went through these. There's some AI stuff. Here's a shovel. So you can see these are electric driven motors here. These are not hydraulics. The teeth on these buckets, the teeth that go on these big buckets like these shovels, those things are 800 pounds just for one tooth. It's not a drive wheel.
show you a bit of the engine compartment. We will climb 17 steps about 5 meters high to reach the first floor. We have arrived in this large room.
So that's one thing about these big rigs
Yes, it's like an apartment room.
is
There are a lot of premium
there's so
components
much room
but
in
also
them that
many
you can
beyond
move
that.
around inside them. There's a lot of room to work. Mechanics are in
This is a
here,
cable control connected to a tension rod on the top deck. As long as the engine is running,
but
the
on these
cable will
machines,
move freely.
everything is big.
There is a dynamo electric
It always
generator
amazes me
over
how
here, and the long
enormous
black
these things
hose
are.
sticking out is the intercooler, which functions as a room cooler produced from the incoming air.
All right, that didn't.
Hello,
But
everyone.
those teeth there, those each one of those teeth is about 800 pounds. Those things are you can fit a couple of cars inside that thing. It's a lot bigger than what you see. He's probably standing 50 to 100 yards away from that thing just to get that shot. Some AI stuff. What is this? Website. Some big ol' oil rig. 100-yard bucket. All right, I want to get back to this because I had some stuff I always like talk about safety and whatnot in my videos here. So let's throw this on. So we've got a giant Liebherr here, or Liebherr, dropping a big old rock on the back of a dump truck, and he hits it right on the tailgate. It rolls out of his bucket and basically blows the thing up. There's a issue catching on fire. Had a little oopsie, oopsie poopsie. And okay, so this remember what I was just telling you about these dump trucks colliding with each other? See how the cab is here and these guys are opposite of each other. This is exactly what I was talking about. Now, if these two trucks had gone in cab to cab, you think there would have been a little injury right there? There definitely would have been some injuries in that, but because they put their cabs or they run their tracks away from each other, uh, it prevents injuries. I mean, this could have been as simple as you see how smooth these tires are on the front. This rig over here could have just slid across the road. He lost traction and it just slides. And sometimes you just don't have control over them. If it comes down to the fact that that was the issue and they've got these old slick tires on here, it's an easy argument to say, hey, you guys didn't put new tires on the machine when it needed them. Oh, that looks bad. Yep, gonna flip her over. So these ukes, we'll go back a second here. So these ukes here, they have a little swivel point that's right in the middle up there. It's just a ball that goes in a cup and it just swivels around. There's just two hydraulic arms that articulate the machine just like these loaders. So here's a good example. I've got little hydraulic rams right here and they make the machine swivel. Now, loaders have 2 points, one point up here or up here and one down here that they pivot on. Now, on these machines, they have the same thing that get the machine to pivot this way. But because the rear wheels and the front cab are separated, they also pivot this direction, but there's nothing that controls that pivot. So when you get this big bed up in the air like this and it becomes unstable, it just flops over. Now, nothing really gets damaged other than whatever smacks the ground. So the bed of the truck is going to get damaged when it hits the ground. And that's why these things tip over so easy. And all that has to happen is just another machine comes over, flips it back up on the wheels. The guy drives down, let off, put the bed down, go back to work most of the time. Now, if a hydraulic hose or even a hydraulic ram landed on one of those rocks and bent it, now it's got to be replaced and taken out of service. So the potential for this, I've never seen a loader upside down. I've seen them in a lot of weird places, but I've never seen one upside down. But gaining the knowledge of where it is versus this little hill over here. So he was driving along and his front tire or back tire fell off the slope, and then the other side did the same, and it just rolled over. So that's about all I can say of that. Just don't drive off the edge of slopes sideways. You go straight off the slope or not at all. All right, so we've got a dump truck that backed up too far. You can see how it's soft right here. So his back tires, he went to go dump. And when you dump these things, a lot of weight throws to the back wheels. If you're not far enough away from the edge will collapse off and your machine goes off with it. But here you can also see they have a pull point and they actually have a strap, or it's most likely a cable, heavy duty cable. That's probably like a 2-inch cable. That thing's huge. Big old shackle connected, and they've got some giant dozer over here pulling this thing. No, that's an enormous freaking loader there. Big old chains over the front tires because that's what's doing all the load. That's what bears all the weight. The back tires are just kind of back there floating and help steering the machine. 994K. Now this is an old picture. This picture has been around for a long time and is an example and is used in several safety videos in mining, because what happens here is these truck drivers, you can see this is on the blind side. So the operator's on the left side and this is on the right side. And most of the time the safety video is being shown to the people that drive around in these vehicles or whatever. These drivers cannot see what's on the right side of their machine. If you drive in front of them and you're not far enough away from them that they can visually see you, they're just going to run you over. And these machines don't even know that you're there. So they might feel a little bump up in the cab when this thing goes over you. But look at that. That's right into the driver compartment on that truck. Just all the tires blown off, frame bent in half. I mean, that machine, that tire, it does not care about your little truck. Okay, this is an interesting situation. So last time the last live show we were talking about water and flow. Dirt can flow too. So if there is some kind of so if this is all fill, because it looks like there's a truck here that was dumping, so this all could have been fill material that became unstable deep underneath in the fill, and you can see it's just flowing. So whether there was a rain, it doesn't look like there was rain because I don't see any clouds in the sky. But this thing is just, that dirt is free flowing. Oh, there is water. That's water right there. There's water here. So that means water was underneath, destabilized, and is now flowing all this material away. And this poor guy just happened to be in it. And it's actually, so this may have been a dam that broke, and it's washing all this material down into the hole. That dude's just on the ride of a lifetime. Okay, do we do we have an example of what happened here? Because I can tell you what happened real quick just by a quick glance. So what we see here really quickly, what happened? What is this? This is nothing more than a carriage or a structure that held all these pipes and everything up above the machine so they could pass underneath it like a little bridge. And this guy went driving around with his bed up and hooked his bed on the top of this carriage. And, well, he screwed everybody. So everyone that was working having to go through this area now cannot no longer go through this area. It shut down the whole entire operation, whatever they're doing. Bad times. All right. Talking about dumping off the edge. This is a moment where this guy's backing up and he got too close to the edge and slid off the side. These are the worst. Going off backwards, you know, you may stop, you may not. You'll go downhill, but at least you're going in a straight line. When you go off sideways, I mean, either way, it's bad news. But this is a flip over incident waiting to happen. So I'm guessing it slid off a little bit and it stuck, and he's just there at this point. Stop the machine. Nothing, nothing's broken. All I gotta do is bring over something else to pull him out. Bulldozer flipped. That's probably like a D10, D9, D10. It's a single stack. D11s have two. In a mine, nice big scoop blades that are angled to carry material. You can see the pickup here. So he was dozing along and he did something and got up on this little edge, and I think that looks like a track mark right there. Rode up and then just flopped over. Wasn't paying attention. That's operator error. Ha! Cold weather. Yeah, that's a bad day. That's a I'm not starting today and I'm not going to work. Although a lot of companies, they'll work in weather like this, the machines will never turn off. They never shut them off. So this is the biggest fear for anybody is fire. Ooh, I think we're going to get to see one flip. So you can see here he's backed to an edge. It looks like he's in a straight line with it. His weight's going to shift. Oh no, he's sideways. There it is. So you can see this corner was not uh, on a solid piece of ground. So he had tracked backwards over this area. He probably tracked forward. It did something weird. He backed back up and spun around to clean up his area and went to spin back around. And the weight shift. So when you shift your weight like this, when it's completely, was it 90 degrees to the end of that track, all that weight shifts over, especially when you're spinning. There's a lot of inertia there that's throwing weight in that direction, and this is what you get. So him picking that bucket up in the air, not necessarily the best thing. Oh, see, he failed. He had it saved. He had it saved. All he had to do was not move. If you get into a bad situation, and this is one of the first things I was ever told, if you ever get yourself into a bad situation, like right here, he's stopped. No, wait, go back. So tracks hanging over open area, swings. It starts to move. See, he stopped swinging immediately. Boom, he stops. He's stable right there. Right there, he's stable. At this point, you stop doing everything. You set your bucket down or you just shut the machine down, because as long as it's in that position, it's not going to move. It's stable. You call somebody, say, "Hey, I'm on the edge. I'm ready to flip over." You don't try to fix it. As soon as he swings to try to fix it, because he's going to swing around, put his bucket down, and try to stabilize it, boom, done. And these big giant rigs, the undercarriage is so small on them, it just doesn't have the stability that the excavators that we run. So comparatively, what do we got here? This is a 365 or something. You see how big these tracks are versus the size of the house. Very stable, very strong base. Okay, so remember what I told you about there's the cup and the ball would be on here, and then there's two hydraulic rams, which one's laying, where is it? They would be attached right here. So that's one of the rams, I believe, not the ball, because the ball would be back up here. So something snapped here. They're calling it an articulated truck, yeah, split in half. Basically, it's just that ball or something failed in that ball in the cup, and it just came apart. Because that's just a floating ball. It needs to be greased on a regular basis. If they don't grease them, they wear out. In that cup that's wrapped around that ball, if it wears out, it opens up, that ball just pops out. And that's what happened in this instance. Not much the driver can do other than say that it was failed maintenance. So if you ever wondered, these booms, the booms and everything, the stick and boom, these things are hollow. You can see that right here. All this is sheet metal. It's just plate steel welded together to create a square tube. They're not solid. Some people, for a long time, I thought they were solid pieces of metal or something, but they're not. So, like the connection points up at the top and down here, they'll have welded in big chunks of metal for strength at the connection points. But the actual arm themselves, they're just hollow. And if they start to crack, it will fail relatively quick. And actually, they're lucky it didn't do more damage. Here you got a drag line. Slope failed on him, slid into it. Machine is salvageable. They just got to hook up to it and drag it out. Got to see if the boom on it got bent or anything like that. Oh, God. This is another guy trying to do something he shouldn't be doing. So, this is a crane or a drag line where he boomed up too high and the boom went backwards. And he's trying to spin around. This is another instance of stop moving. Guy standing on the side shouldn't be standing on the side. When you get into those situations, you have to stop what you're doing. Okay, so we have another instance of dump truck on dump truck hate. You can see cabs on the far side. Guy swerved just enough for the tail of this freaking dump truck to just go underneath his lid and just miss the cab by inches, it looks like. That would have been a deadly accident. Don't know how these happen, but they happen all the time in these big mines. Somebody tried to load a dozer into the back of one of the dump trucks. Didn't work out. I have seen this. One of these days, I'm going to dig through my old photos. I've got a photo of multiple scrapers and dozers all stuck in the mud, and it was a chore to get everything unstuck out of the pit that they were in. Now this looks like a lake bed bottom, and the guy was just they were trying to flip the bottom or just traverse across this wetlands area, and he found a soft spot and quit moving. It happens. That might be a D11 too. Ah, here we go. So this is a good instance. Guys, dump truck's backing up to the edge. You can see it's got a crusty edge right here, not sloped off like this. So they're backing up, and you should always stop short of this. But a lot of these guys are taught go all the way until you feel the bump. So the dozer hand that pushes off, you can see dozer hand or even a loader, could be a loader, is pushing the excess material that stays on top and leaves a little ramp, and you back up, you touch the ramp and continue. But as you continue to do that and the loader hand doesn't make sure that it's been compacted properly for the dump trucks, this is what happens. He gets a little too close, the edge fails, dump truck backs up, and well, backs all the way off. He self-dumped it. Edge failure here too. A lot of edge failures. So you're scooping from here, throwing into there, and you get too close to an edge. And this is an example of the track being parallel with the edge. So you got your slope here and your tracks like this. That's all your weight right on the edge. So you always want to keep your tracks this way, facing the edge. So what I'm talking about, a lot of getting to use my equipment. So when you have your edge, you don't want your machine sitting like this because your edge will fail and the machine will tip off. So if you have your tracks this way, if the edge fails, you can feel it, but there's a lot of support under here and you can track away. Keep doing that. Okay. Excavator right off an edge, hit the tail of the dump truck, flipped it up. Looks like somebody dropped a rock on top of it. The rope system did its job. That could be AI, who knows, on some of these things. So I'm guessing they blasted some rock off above. Loader's buried himself. This happens. Dump truck backed into a drilling rig. So here's the operating room on a drill rig. This is just a drill rig for blasting purposes. So they just drill little holes. They fill it with whatever compound they're using for blasting. And there's a lot of blasting at mines. So there's always a lot of these drills. They'll have 3 or 4 of these drills all drilling at the same time when they're prepping for a blast because they want to get the holes done, load them with the blasting material, wire them up and everything, and then they'll shut down the whole mine and they'll blast, and then all the miners will attack and start scooping all the material. And it looks like we had a fire too. Ah, so maybe there was a fire and the rig rolled away. Oh, decapitation or delimbed? And talking about mining or blasting. So we got a lot of blasting here. Here's a bunch of drill holes. Now what we see here is a failure of the ground. So that means this whole area where you can see this crack. Now I've seen this on my current job that we were on when we were digging. The I always talk about how the striations of the ground are. Sometimes you'll see in the rock, if you go up in the mountains or whatever, you see rock and you see these layers. They'll be laid sideways. Now, in like marsh areas and stuff like that, the dirt that has accumulated from years and years of molting mulch and grass and weeds or whatever, and animals stomping on it, it's a vertical. So what happens is when you dig through that, these leaves, it's just a layer of dirt that could be from here to God knows how big, will just leaf off and fall in. And this is kind of what we have here. This may have, this, if they're drilling it, that means it was not fill material. So what we have here is they've drilled enough holes through a striation or layers that it destabilized the layers, and we're going to get a failure of the ground here. And there it goes. No blasting required. Oh, some drill steel. Look at that. So they left some drill. But see how that just slides right off? That's because of the striation of the rocks and not knowing the geology of the area. Some more drill steel here. But this is a drone shot. Just all the way to the bottom. Don't know if that was AI or not, but it was still a good shot and a good example. Now the guy backed off the edge. Fell off the edge. Look at that big old ripper. Oh, and this guy went off an edge sideways. So either he was tracking somewhere and just booms all the way up. You see these hydraulic rams all the way extended. That puts your center of gravity way up in the air. And every time you do that, you're putting yourself in danger. Okay, that's the end of that video. That was actually a pretty good one. I liked it. So this is we'll just do a little shorty. I think this is a shorty. It says it's 19 minutes. But so what we've got here is a drone shot, non-American. You got guys no hard hats, wearing whatever skinnies, and they're pushing sand off into this is a lake. It looks like sky, it looks like AI, but it's not. It's a lake. That's not doesn't have any ripples in it. We'll hit play here. Keep an eye on this guy in the background. He's pushing, he's pushing, he's pushing. He's not stopping. At this point, your blade is unloaded. You should be on your clutch or changing directions and throwing it in reverse at this point. You've already shoved as much dirt as you're going to shove. You're done pushing. So either through inexperience, see, he jams it forward. You can see the guy kind of jumping a little bit here. Oop. Like he's trying to jam. No seatbelt. He's trying to climb out. Slides off. Throws her in neutral. Now, the machine's still running. You'll see some water kind of start flopping out here. That's just the radiator sucking water through. So he's trying to do stuff with levers. Probably doesn't have a clue what he's doing. He's already got the blade is already tube locked all the way up. So this is an inexperienced operator that doesn't know what he's doing. Because obviously he couldn't get it in reverse to get, in the first place. So now they've got to get the other dozer hand over here, cable this guy up, and drag this thing up and out of the water. Usually the first thing that happens when you do this, you should shut down the machine, prevent any water damage or anything to the engine, so you don't hydrolock the engine. But typically the air filters are up higher. This guy starts giving orders. Okay, go get the cables, get me out of here. I'm stuck. So you can see they're coming out with these weird axle trucks and just dumping sand random locations and forcing these dozers to make long pushes. Now the reason I can tell you right now they're doing that is because it's sand and the edge of the edge of this fill area is really soft. So we're bringing an excavator, boom all the way up in the air, tracking across the job. Let's see. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to dig a ramp. We're going to skip through a little bit. And this is a fairly small machine for this rescue. But it may be this is the operation that they have. They just don't have huge mining equipment or anything like that. Yep. So you're going to spend a lot of time digging to make a ramp for this guy to fix this guy's screw up. So we've shut down four machines. All the delivery trucks are still running. They're still dumping their stuff. That's not stopping. But this whole push crew, this leveling crew for whatever they're doing here, they're at a stop. All right, so they've got a cable hooked up. They got guys standing right here. All these guys standing right here, including this operator in the cab. This is dangerous. When you start putting this much tension on a cable, this cable snaps. If it snaps somewhere up close to the excavator, it whips around. These two guys become legless. They cease to exist. They earn themselves a Darwin Award. These guys standing around, who knows what happens to them? It could whip, but most of the time it recoils almost in a straight line back and could hit the cab. So you always want to make sure you got your safety window down. Not much you're gonna do versus a cable if it hits you. So they've got a drone operator out there that's kicking some butt. I mean, he's got his stuff going. I mean, I don't think I'd be doing this with the excavator. I would be hooking up to this dozer, but it's quite possible they're doing it with the excavator because they know that the dozer's just going to bury himself in the sand. Okay, so they have turned the dozer around. They probably tried pulling with the excavator. Excavator didn't do anything, so now they know they need a second machine to pull on this guy. And when you're in sand and water, it's bad. Now you can see some vibrations coming off this thing. That means they left this machine running. So you can see those vibrations coming off the blade. That means that thing's still idling. Oh yeah, let's shove some dirt off right where these people are standing. Oh god, the safety level these guys have is just... Okay, so we're trying. They really need to get a cable on this dozer. And you can see these dozers that they have don't have rippers on them or any kind of attachment on the rear end. So I don't see a cable point. It might have one right in there. Everybody's got an idea of what they need to do. Everyone's pointing and yelling and screaming. Got all the looky-loos over here that aren't working. And this machine's just sinking into the mud deeper and deeper. You see that blade's gone now. Now we're going to resort to digging a deeper hole. Spend another half an hour digging material for another ramp to get the ramp out. Okay, so there is a connection point on the back of this dozer. So this is what I was talking about. Okay, now we're going to bring in the excavator, pull on the dozer blade, which you could rip the dozer blade off doing that. But okay, there we go. Now we're doing about, he's sliding, he's actually pulling, we're making headway. We don't have tracks moving on this thing yet, so this guy still doesn't know how to throw it in reverse. Or they actually shut the machine off and they're just free willying it. Okay. Okay, excavator stopped. Stop spinning your tracks. You're just making problems. Keep your blade all the way up in the air, bud. There you go. Sand is a booger, man. You mess up in sand and it'll be a bad day. There we go. Getting them out. This guy over here telling him, stop, stop. No, you don't stop until that thing's all the way up on the beach or all the way up on flat ground where he can get himself out. Okay, so that machine's still running. And if it's the fact that this thing's not going into reverse, that's a mechanical failure. It's no longer the operator's fault. But this is a cool video because it actually shows the entire operation of the rescue or recovery of the machine. Oh no, it's got reverse. That's an operator's failure. The operator screwed up. For that situation, boom, 2 checks, you are gone. All right, well, thanks for hanging out there, Tran. Not a whole lot else to talk about other than... Let's get back over. All right. Again, thanks for hanging out, man. Just thought I'd throw up a video today. I got up, wasn't sure if I wanted to do a video or not, and I thought, you know what, I need to do one. Yeah, I got it. This is my wife. My wife's the one that got me these, so I was getting these for Christmas every once in a while. So these, I don't remember what scale. I have a backhoe with a bunch of attachments. I'll have to break that out, maybe put it down here with a box. That one I don't want to pull out of the box because it's got so many different attachments on it. Maybe I'll pull it out next week and just have it all laid out here with all the different attachments. I can show you what everything is that goes on it. But again, Bud, thanks for hanging out with me. For anybody watching this later on, if you have questions or anything, throw them in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'm willing to talk about anything. Your own life, my life. If you have any questions for me about personal life, I'm an open book, especially when it comes to life and construction. There's a lot of things that a lot of people don't talk about, sanity and stuff like that. Maybe that'll be one of the things I'll do On maybe next week I'll talk about mental health or something like that. There's a lot of issues with mental health in the construction industry, and that goes along with construction workers, goes along with veterans and all kinds of stuff. They've got a whole different level of mental issues, but we have our own set of issues when it comes to construction and our lives. So, anyways, guys, thanks for hanging out. As always, keep your butt level and your ditch straight. Again, I gotta find out. There it is.